I'm usually a very positive outlook type of person, and I was kind of losing that. I was losing my joy, and I really didn't like that. All of a sudden, I couldn't even memorize scripture. I was having panic attacks for the first time in my life. Why my brain would freeze in an intense situation. My husband had triple heart bypass surgery, and then a few months later, half of his thyroid was removed. There was financial strain and worry, fear about the future. It truly proved to me that my mind is so powerful. You can be your own first responder. We can choose the way we react and not be driven by our emotions. So our relationship improved. We're just so much more positive about the future.
So, welcome, Jill. I'm wondering if you could just kind of start out by saying kind of what was going on for you at the time that you came into our world.
It's been an extraordinary change. There were so many stressors in our lives. And so I had written down some goals, and I wanted a calm, less anxious heart. I wanted to kind of ruminate less. I was having panic attacks for the first time in my life. I didn't know why. And this is a lifetime thing, why my brain would freeze in an intense situation or in a heated conversation or something, a conversation which would have big consequences, or what I thought were, or fearful situation. Why would I freeze and not be able to think of what I'm feeling, what I want to express? And what was going on was, just less than a year before I started the program, my husband had triple heart bypass surgery. That was only a few days after we moved into our new townhouse. We literally had to dump our stuff into our new place and then head to Mayo Clinic and prep him for the surgery. And then a few months later, half of his thyroid was removed. So it meant that our company took a big hit. And so there was financial strain and worry, fear about the future. And so I'm on Facebook and I see your marketing, and it was speaking right to my heart. Everything you said didn't make me feel like I should have any shame about what I was feeling. It was encouraging, it was kind, and I just wanted to investigate that.
Was there a certain moment that made you decide that you were going to do something to help yourself?
The panic attacks, that it was
Okay.
just so unusual for me. I'm usually a very positive outlook type of person, and I was kind of losing that. I was losing my joy, and I really didn't like that. And I'm someone that's always been into Bible study, always prayer, meditation. Go to your friends, ask them to pray for you. And it wasn't sticking. And all of a sudden, I couldn't even memorize scripture. So I thought something's going on here. And again, what you were saying on my Facebook feed just spoke right directly to me. So we did a little investigating, because, we didn't have a lot of extra cash sitting around. And so we asked some friends in another state who have a similar program and were trauma therapists themselves. And they took a look at your site and they said, this is great stuff. And the fact that her husband too is a functional medicine, they make quite the team. I jumped in and I decided I'm going to trust the program, because if I trust it, I'm not going to be resisting or fighting it. I'm just going to start practicing what I'm taught. And it was amazing. Within 2 weeks, I wasn't feeling heart palpitations, getting a little better sleep. And again, you're trusting things like the vagus nerve practices, putting the feet up the wall, chewing gum, whatnot. And I will say too, my husband decided to enter a program of his own. So every morning we were discussing these things with each other, and his program had a lot of the similar stuff. However, not so much of the nerve calming first. And so he was very, very thankful for that. And I think because we got to practice it together, the program even was intensified in a good way for us.
Can you tell me like what the difference is between what you were experiencing then and now?
I just lived in my head a lot, and I would tell myself, well, don't worry about that. You don't have control over that. You this, you that. And whereas when you start your morning with those 15 minutes of quiet and peaceful and meditation, you can start to notice what you're feeling and attach it to your body sensations. I never realized that. And I think, noticing throughout the day that, I would get a stomach ache and then notice, oh, where's my mind? What am I thinking about? What was it? Maybe it wasn't just the food. Okay, calm down, lay down, even if I have the chance. And I love the healing light. I liked all of it, and I used them all. And it truly proved to me that my mind is so powerful, and learning about the amygdala and how and you can be your own first responder, and we can choose the way we react and not be just driven by our emotions. That truly getting those emotions regulated is so powerful. So our relationship improved. We're just so much more positive about the future. And yeah, both of us are just really powerfully impacted by this.
Was there anything that surprised you? Like I know you had said that you always considered yourself kind of you were a positive person and took care of things and until you started having the panic attacks and you're like, oh, something's going on. Was there anything that you learned about maybe yourself or how you processed emotions or what kind of pressure you'd put on yourself previously that maybe you weren't even aware of before you started having?
Yeah, I think it's just noticing the self-talk, noticing that maybe when a tough situation came up, meaning maybe I'm learning something new or I'm leading something, I will less listen to negative input or this is scary, and rather more self-compassion. I love how you would point out, have self-compassion. Maybe admit, yeah, this is hard. This is going to be tough, but you've done tough things before, just one step at a time. And even breathing in the moment, having good posture, all played a role with me. And so I'm just more confident in being present in the moment. Even to the point of losing our house, losing our marriage, even. We were really, really stressed. There was just a lot of what ifs, thinking I had no control over it. My husband was going through some huge trauma from childhood that he'd never dealt with before. And I had no control over that. And for us both to be in separate programs was huge, and that we could get together every morning and meet and know what each other's talking about. And my husband's so funny. He goes, this self-affirmation, I used to mock it. And now he's like listening to it every day in the car and really believing that the things that we've learned about the brain and the power and telling our subconscious what out loud positive affirmations makes a huge difference, in that we're growing new networks in our brains and replacing, not removing the old ones, but replacing them with stronger connections. And so we loved learning all of that.
Yeah, did a good job like following the plan and so many things that you've mentioned. And I know that there's so many on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you look. There's things that people can do that are simple and DIY it. And a lot of times people like business owners like yourself, and I know I like to try to figure things out myself, will try to take things and then get frustrated because something hasn't worked or they haven't gotten the results from it, or they thought it, like your husband was saying, it didn't make sense. Once you were in, did it make sense to you why doing right things in the right order with support are important for those pathways? What did you find with that?
Yes, I remember starting the program, and I'm someone that just wants to do, check it off the list. And I remember starting out way too fast and listening to every single one, taking notes. And I remember texting Angie and saying, "Am I going too fast?" And she goes, "Yeah, you know what? Slow down, Jill. Just give your body a chance to relax in and you'll notice a big difference." And so that was great. It was a relief to me actually that I could just re-listen to the lessons and that I could practice what I'm learning and be prepped for that next month of application. So
Yeah.
yes, I really appreciated all that.
Well, you're not alone in that because I think for so many, just people who are, like you're saying, highly capable, used to checking things off the list, learning to go slow is actually it's a skill. Learning to go slow
Yes.
and learning to not do because that's the pattern your brain has been in, right? Just
Yeah.
what are all the next things? So, well, great job. Is there any bit of advice that you would give to anybody who is can identify or relate with the, racing thoughts and the needing to be in control and the stress? Is there any bit of advice you would say to someone who is maybe in your position and wanting the results that you got?
Yeah. Oh, I would just say trust the program. Trust it, apply it, go over it, take notes, and be compassionate with yourself. And if you don't learn things as fast as maybe others do, or don't have as many wins as you think you should have, be easy on yourself and do look for the wins because those really do help. But yeah, overall, just trust the program and put it to practice.
Well, thank you, Jill. Thanks for being here. Thanks for and congratulations to you and your husband. I love that you both took initiative for like doing your part in changing something, and then we're able to partner together in that. That's beautiful. So,
Yeah.
congratulations to you.
Thank you so much, Rochelle. I just
Oh,
appreciate all your knowledge and your know-how and your years of experience.
oh,
It's made a huge difference.
oh, thank you. We thank you for trusting us.